The guy who used to tap your shoulder before every match, the one whose habit of chewing gum before penalties became a superstition in the squad, is suddenly just a name in a spreadsheet. The locker room goes quiet the moment the agent says it. No more empty locker, no more jersey in the stall. The guy who used to tap your shoulder before every match, the one whose habit of chewing gum before penalties became a superstition in the squad, is suddenly just a name in a spreadsheet. You see his boots still in the corner, still laced the same way, and it hits you. This isn't just a roster move, it's an emotional vacancy. I've watched teammates get traded mid-season and the silence that follows isn't awkward, it's sacred, like a held breath before the sprint everyone forgot to take. That hollow space isn't just felt by the players left behind, it shows up in the fans too. You recognize the shift when the ultras stop singing that specific chant in the curve and switch to something generic instead. The new striker scores, the crowd erupts, but the sound lacks the old texture, the way that one guy in the north stand used to hum the melody between verses. Transfers aren't just about skill gaps, they're about rewiring in group memory, and that process is messier than any tactical shift. I remember a midfielder who stayed after his buddy got chipped out. He'd stare at the lineup sheet for 5 seconds longer than necessary, then mutter, "Where the hell did he go?" under his breath, like the answer could still flicker on the screen. The worst part wasn't the reduced attacking threat, it was the locker's new topography, the missing voice in the heat of the moment huddle, the way the substitutes now eye each other differently during warm-ups, as if guessing who's next. Teams don't lose just a player, they lose a shared language, and the incoming guy picks up on it immediately. He walks into the dressing room on day one, sees the untouched locker next to his, and feels the temperature drop a degree. The veterans half smile and half judge, the youngsters overcompensate with forced high fives, the staff pretends everything is normal. I've seen players try to fill the void by texting the outgoing guy, until the club blocks it, and then they spiral into overplaying to prove their loyalty. That's the hidden cost. The new recruit becomes a walking reminder of what's missing until he either earns his place or becomes collateral damage of the same grief cycle. The psychological layer runs deeper than morale. Research suggests that sudden social disruptions in small, high-pressure groups trigger something close to grief, even when the change is voluntary. The science isn't settled, but the locker room feels like proof. Sleep gets thinner, focus scatters, and mistakes pile up on days that coincide with the player's last training session. Coaches will cite chemistry issues while secretly wondering why their best passer now drifts wide before releasing. Classic displacement behavior. I watched a manager call an emergency meeting after a key midfielder left. He didn't talk tactics. He recited a short story about the time that player carried the team through relegation on 3 stitches in his ankle. The room got still. Then he said, "We win today for him, not for the table." The players nodded, and for once, the usual post-transfer tension eased, not into joy, but into shared purpose. That's the leverage point. Acknowledging the emotional vacuum can turn a squad into a tighter unit faster than any tactical tweak ever could. Fans feel it in their bones when the atmosphere changes. The season ticket holder who bought the season pass because her son loved watching number 7, she stops wearing the shirt after he's gone. The away fan, who always sat behind the goal and now finds his view obstructed by a new sponsor's banner. It's not about the view, it's about disorientation. I've seen ultras shift from wearing scarves to hoodies on transfer day, as if the club itself had caught a chill. The social media era amplifies the hurt. A player posts a farewell video and the replies are just "thanks for everything, but we will miss your laugh in the canteen." The outgoing guy reads it on the plane, and suddenly the decision feels heavier, less like business. Meanwhile, the new signings announcement video gets 1,000 good luck messages, each one a thin veneer over the unspoken anxiety of replacement. Fans end up grieving in public while the club tries to market the trade as a step forward. There's a moment in the documentary on Liverpool's post-Gerrard rebuild, where a young midfielder breaks down, describing how much he owes to watching Gerrard drag the team through Europa League nights. The camera lingers on his face while the voiceover says he's never felt that weight before. That's the emotional inheritance of transfers, not just tactical, it's almost mythological. Every squad has a couple of those figures, whose departure leaves a narrative hole bigger than any tactical diagram. Even the language around transfers shifts. Acquired, let go, loaned out. It's corporate euphemism that sanitizes the rupture. The fans, who once called their player the heart of the team, stop using the phrase after he's traded, and then you realize how quickly a team can unlearn affection. I saw a supporters trust start a memory board in the pub after a striker left, where regulars pinned photos and ticket stubs. No fancy analytics, just raw recollection. That board became the unofficial therapy corner for a season. The real breakthroughs happen when clubs treat transfers like family transitions instead of roster swaps. Watford once sent a handwritten letter to season ticket holders explaining why they needed to part ways with the popular forward. No spin, no percentages, just a human explanation. The backlash softened almost overnight. The psychology here is simple. Transparency reduces the sense of disenfranchisement that fans and players alike feel when they're excluded from the story. And yet the cycle continues. Players leave with hugs and tears. New signings arrive to polite applause, and the club spins the narrative as progress. But step back and watch how the emotional gravity moves. Like water seeking its level after a stone's been dropped. It reshapes the locker room's nervous system, the fans' sense of belonging, even the referee's perception of home advantage. So here's what actually matters. The next time you see a transfer announced, don't just look at the wage bill or the contract length. Look at the locker left empty, the scarf folded away, the season ticket left in the drawer. That's where the real story lies, not in the spreadsheets, but in the quiet before the next chant starts. If there